everyone, welcome back. This lesson is going to be on a 2-5-1 progression, okay? And I won't really go into too much about what that means, but I'm going to be doing a diatonic harmony lesson in the next lesson, so you'll know what those numbers mean specifically. But our 2 chord in this video is going to be our minor 7th chord, which we just learned. Our 5 chord is going to be our dominant 7th, which we learned 2 videos ago. And our 1 chord is going to be our major 7th, which we learned 3 videos ago. So we're basically going to combine the chords back to back to back in a sequence that really works well together and is a very strong sequence in jazz. So let's go to the keyboard and let's go ahead and do that, all right? So we're going to start with the D minor 7th chord. Now in the key of C, what we're doing, I can briefly describe this to you guys, is we're going to take the 2 chord, which is going to be the chord starting on the 2nd degree of the scale, and we're going to make it a minor 7th. So here's 1, here's 2, and we're going to make this a minor 7th chord. Now I'm not going to tell you why it's a minor 7th chord, but I'm just going to tell you that we're going to start with this chord, this D minor 7th chord. From here, we're going to go to the 5th degree of the scale. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we're going to make this a dominant 7th chord. Right, here's my flat 7 on top, major triad. And then we're going to go to the 1, right, which is C, the root of the scale. So we're going to make this a major 7 chord. Here's my major 7 chord, all right? So again, we have the 2 chord, which is going to be D minor 7, the 2nd degree of our C major scale. Here's 1, 2. We're going to go to the 5, 3, 4, 5. We're going to make this a dominant. And then I'm going to go to the 1. Here's the 1, the root, C, and make this a major. Okay, so let's play those back to back. D minor 7, G7, C major 7. Okay, I'm going to add some bass notes or some root notes, and basically what I'm doing with my left hand here is I'm going to play the roots of the chord, and basically the roots of the chord are simply the names of the letters of the notes. So if I'm playing a D minor 7, my root is going to be D. If I'm playing a G7, my root is going to be G. And if I'm playing a C major 7, my root or bass note is going to be C, right? So you're just playing that one note that is, the name or letter of the chord, okay? So listen to what it sounds like with the bass notes now. It's a much thicker sound and it's much fuller. 2 minor 7, my D minor 7, going to my G7, going to my C major 7 chord, all right? So that was a 2-5-1 because we were using a chord off the 2nd degree of the C major scale, going to the chord off of the 5th degree of the major scale, going to a chord off the 1st degree of the major scale. Now 2-5-1s are important in jazz harmony because it's such a strong progression. It's a very strong progression. Now I talked to you a little bit about the dominant chord and how it's filled with tensions and it wants to move. Now like that kind of a major 7 is more of a stable chord. It wants to sit, it wants to be resolved to, and that's why the dominant resolves so well to a major 7 chord. The major chord is just a nice chord that you can sit on and it doesn't want to move anywhere. It's just like, it's resolved to the major chord. Now the minor 7 chord is kind of in between. It wants to move, but it also has qualities of, I could stay here if I want. So that's why these 3 chords work so well together. You have a half and half kind of chord that begins with the 2 chord, right? Your minor chord right here. Now that wants to move, but it's also slightly stable, okay? And then we go to our 5 chord, which really wants to move, okay? It wants to move to another chord, it wants to resolve. And then we go to our 1 chord, which finally we get to a landing spot, right? We don't need to jump anymore, we don't need to move anymore. So that's why the 2-5-1, which occupies a minor 7th chord going to a dominant 7th chord going to a major 7th chord, is such a strong progression because it encompasses all those qualities. It has all those different types of textures. It has the slightly wants to move chord with little stability, the minor 7th chord. Then it has the least stable chord that really wants to resolve, which is the dominant chord. And then finally we land up on a chord where we can just sit and relax, which is the major 7th chord. So that progression, when you combine those 3 chords, creates just a wonderful progression, and there's no wondering why it's the strongest progression in jazz, just because of the qualities I just talked about. So you're going to see 2 5 1s, and I'll talk about what those numbers mean more in depth in the next lesson. You're going to see 2 5 1s all around, in jazz, in funk, in gospel, in blues. It's a very standard progression that you should know well, and after I've gone through the diatonic harmony in the next lesson, you'll be able to practice your 2 5 1s using your 7th chords in every key. All right, guys? So thanks for watching this lesson on the 2 5 1. Be sure to check out the diatonic harmony lesson in the next one, so that way you can string all these ideas together and definitely progress your playing with this information. All right, guys? Happy practicing, and thanks for watching.